We just set human history, an 80-year-old female successfully completed Kona, setting the bar now, 80 years old, full Ironman. A 93-year-old male holds the record for men. So, as we're getting older, nobody's getting by without having some sort of physical and, mental brain functioning compromises, but they are not excuses for stopping.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Your Second 50. Are you an athlete or a fitness enthusiast or just an everyday person who is interested in learning about their sweat rate and the electrolytes that they lose in sweat, either for performance or for health? If that is you, then you are in the right spot. My name is Judy Terrell, and I am a Ironman certified athletic coach. I am a 13-time Ironman who just finished competing in World Championship Kona a week ago in Ironman World Championships, successfully completed, I might add. And I have been coaching either clients who are attempting to do races in Ironmans and triathlons or running races or biking races for about 43 years. In addition, I coach normal, everyday fitness enthusiasts. And one of the things that I know from my own experience and with my coaching is that it is really, really important that we know how much hydration to take in and then the right balance of electrolytes in that hydration so that we are, at best, having peak performances and at worst, avoiding, crashing on the course, literally physiologically crashing and or having, heart rhythm, reactions that are negative and cramping and electromagnetic tingling and numbness and all the things that happen when we are not properly addressing the intake to go with the output of our sweat, all right? So if you are identifying with this or you want that little edge up in your athletic performances, in your races, I found a product in my training when I was getting ready for Kona, because I was deathly afraid of cramping on the course. I am 62 years old and my body, post-menopause now, advancing age, has a different operating system for its cooling mechanisms, which is true, post-menopause, that's in the science, called vasomotor regulation. But Kona it was 90 degrees and about 78% humidity, which means that my normal sweat response, which is now actually compromised, was going to be even more challenged. And I happen to be a very heavy sweater and a very high electrolyte sweater. And I'm going to talk about I had to know what you are, but using myself as an example, it became imperative for me to be able to successfully complete the race and not have negative health consequences during the race, for me to dial in how much liquid to take in per hour and what electrolyte balance I need, so that I didn't have those negatives happen on the race. So this product, in my search for trying to help myself, I became aware of it, I used it, and now I recommend it. And the product is called Hdrop. Okay? Hdrop. And what it is a device. It's a wearable. So I'm going to show you this here. And it will be monitoring. So it's got this advanced technology in this little piece, which goes onto the band. And it's a little bit difficult to get the band on. Oh, here we go. And then this band, you turn this and you put this on your arm, okay? And then you wear this as you are training and working out. You could wear it in the race too, but by that time the information will not help you so much. You're using this diagnostically in your trainings. And what this is measuring is the volume in ounces of sweat that you lose per hour, but not just the amount of sweat. It is also monitoring what the electrolyte balance is in the sweat that you're losing. So how much sodium is in the sweat that you're losing, and how much potassium is in the sweat that you're losing, and how much magnesium is in the sweat that you're losing. Because those are the three main electrolytes, and if you're losing them at higher rates than you are taking in, then you're going to have problems, okay? So, backtracking a little bit, I am a very heavy sweater, okay? Different people sweat at different rates. Even before menopause, I was a heavy sweater. And I have been coaching clients in, athletic pursuits for 2 decades now. And I know that some people sweat heavy, some people sweat less. Everybody sweats more when the environmental conditions are higher heat and higher humidity, because in higher humidity, the air condensate, the water in the air is so high that the evaporation off your body is compromised, because the air itself is overhydrated, and we need the evaporation off our body of our sweat for the cooling effects, right? So when it's high humidity, we're going to need more intake of liquid water, because we need more sweat to cool us, because it's not evaporating. Now, there are people who sweat more when it's not that hot and humid, and there are people who sweat, higher amounts when it is hot and humid. And then there are people who sweat lower amounts even when it's hot and humid. So it's imperative that you know what is the ounces of sweat loss that you have per hour, so you know the ounces of water or liquid to take back in. But that's only one part of it, because over here with the electrolyte balance is the second part of this equation. I am a very heavy sweater, but I also sweat out high amounts of electrolytes. There are people who have sweat a lot, but don't sweat out as high of a sodium and potassium amount, even though they're high sweaters. And there are people who are lower sweaters, lower volume of sweat, but they are sweating out higher levels of sodium and potassium, right? So we need to know the volume of sweat, and there are tests that you can do. With my clients, I have them weigh themselves naked before they go out for a run, then get dressed, go out for a run, take their clothes off, weigh themselves again. We get the difference between those two weights plus whatever they drank, and then divide that number by the hours that they were out on the course. And now we can calculate a sweat, volume level for them under those environmental conditions. Let's say it was 75 degrees and, low humidity. All right. So now I have had, and through the years now I've been able to do that with clients to determine sweat rates at different environmental conditions, so I can coach them to how much, volume of liquid they need to be taking in during their activity. But that doesn't, tell us anything about the electrolyte balance. And that's where this Hdrop product is such a, blessing, I guess I'll say. When you have tried all the programs and done all the right things, and yet you still can't lose the weight that you're trying to lose, and you're a male or female over 50, now is the time for you to look into my program, Your Second 50.life. It includes online video support. You can download video and PDFs for eating plan and exercise plan appropriate for over 50. It includes group support on a monthly basis, and perhaps even more importantly, it includes weekly individualized coaching specific to you. Having the generalized plan is a good thing. I have helped literally thousands of people to lose weight over the 43 years I've been in practice, and I'd like to help you too. Because it's going to tell you also the sweat volume that you're using without having to do the weigh-ins, right? Because it's evaluating the sweat volume that you're sweating out on your arm, but it's also telling us the electrolyte, sweat, how much electrolytes are in your sweat from the sensors, the advanced sensors that are in the device. Wearables now are just incredible, right? So now, for me, going into Kona, I did my training with my Hdrop on, and under very high humid conditions in my training, I found out that I was sweating about 1,500 milligrams of sodium per hour, and about 600 milligrams of potassium. So now I knew the rate of my sweat, and I was sweating about 50 ounces per hour. But I also so I knew now for my self-coaching, I have to take my water bottle that's on the front of my bike is 30 ounces, and I needed to basically have 2 of those every hour on the course, refilling through the aid stations as I go. So I'm getting the volume of the liquid that I need, but I was also aware that I had to use, a combination of electrolyte products that I had with me, in my pouches and on my bike carrying, so I could add to the product that was on the course. So I was getting 1,500 milligrams of sodium and 600 milligrams of potassium every hour. There is no way that I would have known that with that sort of exactingness without this Hdrop product that helped me to determine that. Because you'd have to go into a sports lab, and you'd have to have a sports lab around you that is able to do that, and then do that under a variety of conditions to be able to determine what this device is able to tell you and told me while I was in my training. And I will tell you, the DNF rate in Kona this year was excessively high, especially for the pros. It was 18% when normally it's 7%, because it was so hot and humid, excessively so than even the normal race conditions, which are excessively so. And the pros there's such a high level of output, they missed their mark on their intake, and they bonked. They basically were in heat exhaustion and depletion and had to drop out of the race. So they did all the trainings right, but then they didn't get their, hydration levels nailed down. And this is a relatively new product, so I would, if I was coaching a pro, I would be using this to monitor and nail down those electrolytes and the sweat rate. Now, I've been talking about athletes like myself, but I have people that I coach that are, golfers or pickleball players or just doing general fitness, weight training and, HIIT type classes and functional metabolic, weight classes. And they're, sweating also. And although they're only doing it for an hour and they're not having the same sort of conditions that if you're doing it in an Ironman or an athletic event, it's still very important for the rest of their day so that they don't feel depleted, they don't feel dizzy, they don't feel this chronic fatigue that happens to a lot of people when they do a workout and then the rest of the day they're kind of trashed. There's a lot of reasons for why that might happen to somebody, but one of them might be, and very well is, like a main contributor, is not getting the right electrolyte and hydration levels for your activity and then being in a deficit for the rest of your day, right? And having negative, quality of life and health repercussions from that. So even my, everyday athletes, I encourage to get this if they're feeling these kind of like fatigue things after workouts, so that we can nail down the electrolyte balance for them in their activities so that they can do their workouts in the morning, let's just say, and then not be trashed for the rest of the day. All right. So this product, like I said, is a game changer for me in my training because I'm not done. I'm 62, but I'm still competing. I've got a host of issues that go with it. I've got knees that are mistracking, patellas that are problematic. I'm older. The recovery time is longer for these events, but we just set human history. An 80-year-old female successfully completed Kona, setting the bar now. 80 years old, full Ironman. A 93-year-old male holds the record for men. So as we're getting older, nobody's getting by without having some sort of physical and mental brain functioning compromises, but they are not excuses for stopping. And so keep going, everybody over 50. And if you are feeling like, you need a little bit more insight for your hydration electrolytes, this Hdrop product is something that you should look into. I'll put a link to it in the bio below or in the copy below. And if you are feeling like I might be somebody that you would want to be, working with, because I have, 43 years of experience with coaching. I have, a lifetime, 62 years of being athletic myself. And I'm a nationally board certified health coach. I'm in a PhD program right now to become a doctor of lifestyle medicine. And I have a growing community, Your Second 50.life, of which I'm putting out curated information, videos, PDFs. We have monthly coaching sessions as a group. From anywhere in the world you can join this, and I am trying to change the strategy for aging and proper weight management and health for anybody that is wanting to work with me, and you should want to work with me. So join my program, Your Second 50.life, and be in the shifting change of the paradigm, moving away from pharmacology and supplementation for health and longevity, and making lifestyle your most strong tool for proper weight management and aging healthfully and optimally with vitality. All right, everybody, see you soon.
To some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.